trustees to ask questions of clarification.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Jessup, and I'm a parent of a child in the TDSB. I'm a teacher in the TDSB, and I'm a former executive officer of Elementary Teachers of Toronto, which gave me an opportunity to see multiple schools, speak with teachers across the school board, and listen to some desperate principals confide in me about the position that they are in on a day-to-day basis. And I am here because I know that you are under tremendous pressure to pass a budget that will have cuts in it, because that's what budgets have these days. And I want to let you know how grave, how serious the situation is in our schools in terms of basic physical safety of our students due to understaffing and lack of resources. Because I believe that if you knew how dangerous it is, and by what a thin thread, the safety of our students hangs on a daily basis, most especially in schools that rely solely on public funding. And I'm referring to the schools that don't have wealthy parent councils, wealthy school councils. And the disparity is tremendous, and very often the people who make the decisions come from schools where they don't see what it really looks like. And so I want to paint a picture for you. I'm going to start by reading a letter that was written with the help of some education workers. Toronto District School Board trustees, Toronto parents, education staff, and students are sounding the alarm that our schools are dangerously underfunded. Insufficient staff and resources mean that students are undersupervised and denied basic supports. A multitude of preventable dangers result from this, including increased risk of serious physical injury, emotional distress, and violence for those students, and violence for which students receive undue blame. And I just want to make a note. The fact that police officers have the kind of presence and are called upon so frequently to deal with violent situations in our schools is not a reflection on the students. It is a reflection on the dangerous levels of understaffing and the complete inability of principals to be able to access supply teachers and supply EAs when they're needed, which I will get to. Failure to hire enough staff means that when teachers and support staff are sick, there is often nobody to fill in for them. In the routine struggle to fill absences in a school, special programs get canceled, oversized classrooms get merged, schoolyards and lunchrooms go undersupervised, and that's a bit of a euphemism. Children and youth cannot be expected to learn in a school that lacks the basic stability and safety that comes from proper funding. Racialized working class students are made disproportionately vulnerable by cuts. Their families are least able to fill in the gaps with fundraisers to buy equipment and volunteer labor to provide supervision. Equity programs do not make up for or excuse the disparity between Toronto's most marginalized school communities and those with the most privilege, caused by cuts to basic school operations. Due diligence to protect the safety and well-being of students is the most fundamental responsibility of the Toronto District School Board. We call upon the Toronto District School Board to develop a needs-based budget. This budget must be based on student needs as expressed by the TDSB students, school staff, parents, and guardians. In addition, it must address the results of a thorough and objective risk assessment. Do not pass any budget or put your name or associate your reputation with any cuts, at least until you have done a risk assessment, because employees will not come to you and tell you how bad things are. It means disclosing the humiliating and the dangerous situations that they experience on a daily basis. You're not going to get an unfiltered account. If I had time, I would go through situations that I hear about, that I have seen. Do not put it on your reputation, put it on the government. In addition, it must address the results of an objective risk assessment of existing hazards to students' physical safety and mental well-being in TDSB schools. This needs-based budget must eliminate all unreasonable risks to TDSB students. And if anyone comes to you and says, it's illegal not to pass a balanced budget, You say that it is your legal responsibility to protect the lives of students, because I will tell you that it is with chance and a roll of a dice and a great deal of luck already that there is not a tragedy. Every day, there is a situation in just about every school that I'm aware of where the worst could happen.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes are up.
Do the right thing.
People may have questions.
Yes, we have questions of clarification. Trustee Laskin?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Can you clarify why you brought up wealth of school communities? You can't fundraise for staffing. You can't fundraise for resources. So what does wealthy school communities, what's the issue between, I mean, is school safety not an issue in all schools?
I think it is an issue in all schools, because I'm familiar with schools that I think would be identified as, low on the LOI, meaning that they are in affluent communities. And I teach in schools that are not affluent. But here's what you need to understand, because if you're able to raise a lot of money for equipment and computers, I watched a snoozling room, which is for students with developmental disabilities, get fitted in someone's school who I know really well. And I was just aghast. I thought to myself, this is basic stuff. My students don't get this. And once you have that money to pay for those things, well, then your school budget is liberated to get other things. Because you're not just scraping by to get the basics. And if you have labor, because obviously labor is a huge cost. Well, working class communities are called working class for a reason. Parents are working 2 jobs. It's not because parents don't care that you don't have the same level of volunteer labor. It's because they don't have the time. They're working 2, 3 jobs. And they don't get to staff a kiss and ride at their school. They don't get to staff with volunteer labor the lunchroom. Lunchrooms are dangerous. I listened to a principal beside himself say to me, look, I'm doing what I can. I can't get the staff. I know you're here telling me we got to get more lunchroom staff, but where am I going to get them from? Well, you see, in some of my friends' schools, they've got volunteers doing that.
Just a clarification, we're not to have volunteer lunchroom supervisors, so I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I'm not going to argue the point. I asked
could
for
respond to
clarification, and I
that. Principals do things on a daily basis that break the rules to keep the children safe. To keep the children safe.
Are you finished, Trustee Laskin?
I had more questions, but I'm stopping. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
Our next delegation is Hillary Hall.